everyone. My name is Dr. Kirk Prine, and we are continuing our series to give you little tidbits of ideas and concepts to usher in the new consciousness, to really embody who you are now on the planet, because we need you. And the archetype we've been playing with, which is a lot of fun and controversial, so don't you love kind of those edges, is the sacred prostitute. And let me frame this for a moment. So if you go throughout history, you'll find in different places and even within different traditions, the word sacred prostitute, or sometimes they were called the holy ones. Sometimes they were called sacred whores. Sometimes they were called prostitutes of God. Sometimes they were called the let me say this, Devadasi. Sometimes you think kind of across the gender lines in this two-spirit community, you have the Bradash, who were serving in the native community across gender. And if you think of the stories that we told before about the gatekeepers, there are many names to speak of. Here, I have just a few. To speak of the archetype of the sacred prostitute. And what I see if you go online and you start typing in all of these things, and you look at the journey of the sacred prostitute, you'll find lots of people trying to both validate and debunk the stories. What I can tell you is an archetype is formed because it's there to guide us into freedom. And this particular archetype is there to guide us into freedom and really living and being at home in our bodies, making unions with each other that are sacred through our touch, through our sexuality, that are whole and holy. And those two things are often pit against each other as if they're opposing forces. You know, I love when I first came to California and I met a woman who was, again, a sex worker at the time, and her venturing into doing sex work was out of feeling a calling from the goddess to actually be of service. So her work actually was coming from a place where she felt like she was truly a sacred prostitute, that she was like the prostitutes in the temple who offered all of their care in and through their bodies in whatever ways that was expressed consensually, and bringing healing through that. I thought when I moved here, wow, I'm in the right place. And she did a healing training with me, and so we compared notes about a lot of things around the traditions of the sacred prostitute. And she brought me the text, the Nag Hammadi text, the ancient Gnostic scroll that had been found, that simply has a line in it saying who God is. And it says, I am the whore, I am the holy one. And we think of those two things as two very separate, counter-opposed things. But in the ancient text, it was saying, I am both of those things. I am the whore, I am the holy one. I offer my body in service to the divine and express through my body that service for the divine. So not a lot of Western thinking holds this. So a lot of what we're going to say, you're going to kind of go, you know, and it doesn't quite fit, because there's almost a cognitive dissonance that's been mapped into us to not put the sacred and sexuality together. So as we go on this journey of the sacred prostitute, I want you to think about the sacred prostitute is really coming coming out of the community with a calling. And not everyone in the tribe is called to be a sacred prostitute. Like everyone's not called to be a lover or a mystic or a prophet. They're all unique callings, but for all of us today, and this is where I want to bring it into right now, for all of us today, if you're a part of the resistance, then you are drawing on the energy of the sacred prostitute. And the reason I can say that is, one, your activism is through your body and through your voice and through your expression, saying what? Everything that the sacred prostitute said, which is, we are our own authorities. We have rights over our own bodies, that they're sacred, they're divine, and can be expressed as we choose to, not as some governing body of people who want to squelch us say that we should be. So for us as LGBTQI folks, as women on the planet, as anyone who's disenfranchised, part of the resistance really is kind of the rising up of the energy of the sacred prostitute. So I'm giving you lots of juicy stuff, but you know, our activism is simply doing this, of getting more free and naked and saying this body is sacred. Touching this body, touching other bodies with intention can be the service of the divine. So there are just a few juicy thoughts. Namaste.